Now, guys, it's time to make my season in review video. Uh, I've pretty much done this the last, what is my third year doing this? Third year?
God knows, I don't know.
Yeah, it's been 3 years. And I pretty much go back and take a look at the entire season, give my thoughts on it, So let's jump right into this. So my brother obviously watches every single game. Me and him pretty much watch every single game together. There's really not a rare occasion where we don't watch a game together. We even went to a few games this year. I think we went to 3 or 4 games together this year. You got even got a BP ball.
Yep, it's in that case.
Yep, it's in this case. That's right over here. So let's start with the season in review. Let's touch on some of the high moments. Tigers started out not bad this year. The first half was kind of like a lull, like it is every year. I mean, I don't know what it is with the Tigers in the first half. The whole first half was nothing but drama about how Cleveland is playing and how Cleveland is going to win the division and how the Tigers are overrated and how the Tigers aren't going to win the division because they got Terry Francona at the helm in Cleveland.
No bullpen, and the closer is an issue.
Yeah, and Jose Valverde came back in the first half,
and
everyone just absolutely shit their pants. Like, oh my God, this guy's going to blow so many games.
He did.
He sucks.
He did.
And the Tigers aren't going to win the Central. They're not going to do anything in the playoffs. But now let's remind you guys. Jose Valverde came back, and he converted like his first 5 saves in a row. Don't forget about that. Don't forget about that. Now, I'm not saying that Jose Valverde wasn't bad. Only a couple of his first 5 saves in a row were in a tight walk save. But he had no splitter. His fastball sucked. And they finally went in, got Benoit and put him in the closer's role. What they should have did. And we really saw the emergence of Drew Smyly as a great reliever in the first half. Smyly, going into the All-Star break, he was, maybe considered to be an all-star because, he had a minuscule ERA. It was like close to 1. And he was absolutely nasty, and that's when they moved him into the 8th inning role and Benoit into the 9th, and that worked really well for, the first few months after Valverde was finally let go because I think Valverde only lasted like a month and a half. He didn't last very long.
But he was going to be back, though. He said
yeah. He said he was going to be back. I remember when they sent him down to Toledo this year, he's like, yeah, I'm only going to be down here 2 weeks, and he ended up getting released. But the first half of the season, like I said, everyone was always in panic the first half. Oh, fire Leland. Francona is going to manage the Indians to the Central Division title. Because the Tigers and the Indians, it was kind of a dogfight the first few months of the season because the Tigers would go up 3 or 4 and they'd blow the lead because the Tigers, let's see, they were only up 10 games most of the first half. Cleveland was playing, they went on that 18-for-22 streak in late May. And Cleveland was playing really, really good, and they had a few-game lead on us. And then they fell back down to earth, and then that's when the Tigers were up 10 games. They got 10 games over 500 and ended up being up 5. But that was right before the All-Star break. And then right after the All-Star break, the Tigers kind of blew that, and they were only up by 2 games, and they were only up like 6 or 7 games over 500, and there was just panic because it was right before the All-Star break, remember? Or right after the All-Star break, and there was just panic. It's like, oh my God, this team's going to suck, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I came on here, and I was telling everybody, you need just to calm down, wait for the trade deadline. They're going to make some moves. They're going to get the players they need to get to win the division and to get us to the playoffs. And that was absolutely right. They ended up getting Varys. And they ended up getting, who else they get?
Iglesias.
Ended up getting a Jose Iglesias to replace Johnny P. And, in the second half, they played really good. They went on that 12-game win streak, which really propelled them above everyone. And it was pretty much over after they went on that 12-game win streak because Cleveland couldn't touch us. Cleveland, I remember because Cleveland, the Royals, and the Tigers were all hot at the same time. Each of them won like 9 straight games all at the same time. I remember Kansas City, they won 12, and they only made up 1 game. That's how tight, how hot everyone was. It was in September.
It was 20. They were like 23-4 or something.
And they made up 1 game.
Top 3 teams in the AL Central.
And then Cleveland almost got taken over by Kansas City a couple times right before September rolled around. The September rolls around. And the Tigers clinched the division on the 27th. It took them a little bit longer than it did last year. And then they went into Miami and it got shit on it. It ended up getting no hit. And everyone's like, oh, well, Cleveland only lost the division by a game. It's like, well, no, they didn't because the Tigers clinched when they were 5 games up. They just didn't win anymore out for the rest of the season. Everyone wants to sit there and talk about Indians fans are going to brag that they only lost or only won 1 less game than us. But it's like, really, The Tigers stopped playing after they won the division. I mean, really, that's all it was. They could have won 97 games. They had to play it out. They actually played. But they had it won, and they didn't do anything. So Indians fans can brag they won 92 games all they want. The fact of the matter is they were down 4 or 5 when we clinched. So that's all that matters to me.
Yeah.
So it was pretty much the Tiger season in a nutshell.
It proves when you faced a good team like the Rays, you guys suck.
Yeah. And it doesn't help that the Indians were what? They were 21-6, I think, in the final month of the season.
Something like that.
Now, in those 21-6, and teams they faced over 500, they were 5-5 against. So 5 of those 6 losses came from good teams. Only one time did they lose by a crappy team that entire month stretch. So it goes to show you how fluky that last month was by the Indians. They're lucky the Royals cooled off a little bit because I think the Royals, if the Indians had a little bit harder schedule, I think the Royals honestly could have propelled.
If the Royals got in with Hosmer picking it back up and then their best bullpen in the AL, they could have did some serious damage.
Because, I mean, if you look at the AL Central, if the Indians would have died out, had a harder schedule towards the end, because you saw how they got beat by the Rays. I mean, the Rays exposed what everyone knew. They can't beat good teams, the Indians. If the Indians had to play better teams in the last month, I think the Royals had a legitimate shot at taking that wild card spot. So that was pretty much the Tigers' season, from month-to-month standpoint. It was pretty much that 12-game win streak that put them over the edge. They ended up finishing, 93-67? I think is what it was.
Something.
So I want to take a look at some of the outstanding performances this year. You got to tip your hat to Max Scherzer.
All year.
I mean, all year when Verlander wasn't being Verlander. Sanchez was hurt for a couple of weeks in the middle of the season. Fister didn't have the dominating second half. His second half was good, but it wasn't Fister good. Like, you look at his second half the last couple of years. I mean, he's been real dominant in the second half. Scherzer, 21-3, 2.90 ERAs. You're going to be Cy Young. He had one of the lowest whips. Was up there in the strikeout leaders. One of the highest K9s. One of the lowest walks per nine. I mean, this year, he's the Cy Young, in my opinion. He had a dominating year. Miggy is probably going to be the MVP again. He had another great year. He would have easily eclipsed everything he did last year. He won his 3rd straight batting title. He would have eclipsed everything he did last year if he didn't get hurt.
He definitely would have won the Triple Crown again if he didn't get hurt.
Because when he really messed up his groin, because remember when they were in New York playing against the Mets and he had 7 home runs in 10 days?
He was catching Davis. That's when he was hot.
He had 42 home runs to Davis's 46.
Yeah, he was getting really hot.
He was real close. And, he just... After that New York series, his groin started hurting. Mickey Cabrera might have to have surgery this offseason.
They called it a level 2 or 3
groin sprain. Strain.
They actually said he almost got a hernia from it or whatever. Something.
Yeah,
he said it was getting bad.
He was playing real hurt. So there's no doubt in my mind Cabrera probably would have had the Triple Crown this year if he would have been healthy all year. But that's going to be another video when I make my out-season off look, what I think they should do. But, you got to tip your cap to him. It's going to be 2 straight MVPs. Prince Fielder, for as bad as he was in the postseason, he had a really good month of September that really helped the Tigers when he ended up hitting 337 in the month of September. Really brought his numbers up. He would have had a bad year. And then Jose Iglesias coming over. That's going to be one of the best moves Dombrowski's ever made in the long run. Iglesias is, he's a Gold Glove caliber shortstop, and he really shored up that middle of the defense, and he made a really great move getting him. And then, Johnny P had a good first half, even though he got suspended for PED uses. Benoit and Smiley, got to tip your cap to those guys. Absolutely great year out of the bullpen from those 2 guys in a bullpen that was pretty suspect all year because you had Al Albuquerque, you were getting out of him. Dotel was hurt. Phil Coke was absolutely not an option. You had guys like Paconin and Downs. It was just a merry-go-round.
Then that Patrick Evans kid would come up.
Or Evan Reed.
That was it.
So you got to tip your cap to them. And then Anibal Sanchez, he's an unsung hero of this rotation. A lot of people don't even know this, but Sanchez won the ERA crown this year in the American League. You can't really look at wins and losses for this kid's record, but, you have a couple more games, where he pitched a lot of games where they just didn't get run support for him. He would have had 18, 19 wins this year. He was dominant. And then you look at Verlander's last 5 starts and in the postseason. He was he became the ace of old, how he's expected him. He was really, really good in the month of September. Then he was shut down in the postseason. He was like the old Verlander in the postseason. Look, absolutely awesome. So my top 3 MVPs this year for the Tigers is Scherzer would be my team MVP, even though Miggy did what he did. You don't have Scherzer's year. That rotation, might not have been nearly as good as it was. And then it'd be Miggy, and then it would be Joaquin Benoit would be my top 3 MVPs. What about you?
Scherzer's definitely up there. Obviously, Miggy.
Yeah.
And then for the third one, for what he did, I would guess Benoit for taking over the closer's role because that's hard to do, taking over. Because they always tell you, even analysts, it's a different animal in the ninth inning.
Yep.
So for you to jump to set up and then have to do what he did in the closer's role, he came up big for us. And
he went 21 for 21 before blowing his first save.
So he was good.
I mean, he was really good.
A few stuff here and there, but no, no closers like Mariano Rivera.
Yep.
You're not going to be perfect, except Craig Kimbrell. But still,
All right. One moment before we end this video, we're going to go favorite moment of the year. You go first. I already know mine. Want me to go first?
Yeah, I think I have one in mind.
By far my favorite moment of the year, and that's only because I was there, Anibal Sanchez sets a Tiger strikeout record.
Oh, yeah,
struck out 17
Braves against the Braves. Yeah.
That was my favorite moment of the year because I got to watch him. And before the game, I was telling him, I'm like, dude, if he can spot his breaking pitches for first pitch strikes, the Braves are screwed because if they can't sit on first pitch fastball, they're going to strike out.
I actually have two favorites.
Go ahead.
First favorite was almost the Sanchez no-hitter. He almost had or whatever.
Yeah, against the Twinkies.
And then the second one would be the comeback on Oakland when Hunter hit that 3-run bomb or whatever.
Beating Chris Perez again on the same day we beat him before.
That's another one. But when Hunter hit that 3-run shot or whatever, I was going pretty insane. It was insane.
That would be my favorite moment of the year. So, guys, that's the season review recap.
And guess who did that?
What?
Avila.
Alex Avila, another guy.
But he sucks.
The guy hit 300 in the second half.
Yeah.
So, guys, that's the season in review. I mean, overall, you can't complain. Another third straight division title. I'm not happy with how the season ended by far.
And neither are the players.
I don't want to call this season a disappointment or a failure because you did win the division. You did win 93 games, but it's definitely not where I wanted to be. This team was built for one reason and one reason only, and that was to win the World Series.
Yeah, it's kind of a bust.
Yeah.
It was really World
So
Series.
it's kind of a bust.
It was World Series. This team was supposed to win the World Series, not just win their division and get bounced in the ALCS.
That was all.
But
so
injuries killed us, and no timely hitting. It killed us.
A playoff. It was just awful.
Yep.
So I can't. It's not a bad season. I mean, you were almost where you wanted to be, but it's not the season you wanted, and it's kind of a bust in my eyes.
And you're gonna have a new manager.
And you got a new manager.
You don't know how that's gonna turn out.
So there could be regression next year with a new guy at the helm.
Mm.
So, what was your favorite moment, guys? What did you think of the season? Your favorite moments, best MVP, everything else? Comment below. Tell me what you think. And off-season outlook video will be up on Friday when I talk about the future of the team and what I want them to do in the off-season. Have a good one, guys.